Hello everyone, welcome to the Study Skills blog. This is a part 2 in my essay writing series, Planning and Outlining. Guys, I am all about planning. Seriously, this is so important. I can't imagine doing anything in my life without planning for it, let alone write an essay. But this is one of the things that students often don't spend very much time doing. And I really want to show you why it's important to write a plan, why it's important to write an outline for your essays, and how this is going to make your life just so much easier generally. So planning allows us to break up big tasks into smaller, more manageable tasks. So first of all, planning is really good for our time management and just general mental health when it comes to the stress of doing university assignments. But good planning also allows you to get a better understanding of all of the components of your essay and how they fit together. Then you're able to create a much more effective, logical line of reasoning, which is what we want when we're creating an argument, which I'm going to talk about in the next blog. So basically, your ideas will flow more clearly from one to the next if you have a good plan. Planning also means that you'll be way more aware of the amount of work that's actually required of you, and you'll be able to break your time down more effectively. Just because you managed to smash out an essay the night before it was due one time doesn't mean that you'll be able to do it again. Plus, there's a very big difference between a 1,000-word essay that's worth 10% and a 2,500-word essay that's worth 40%. Both of them are going to require different amounts of time, different amounts of energy, different amounts of research. So having a plan is really important for being able to do this effectively. So we call a lot of the activities we do at the very beginning of our planning the pre-writing stage, which makes sense. It's what we do before we start writing. This is a really important stage because it allows you to figure out what you already know about the topic, what you need to know, so what kind of research you need to do, what potential key points you might cover, what you think your argument's going to be, and that will then direct not just your writing, it will direct your research, it will direct the structure, it will direct how you group ideas together. Sometimes if we just sit at the computer to start writing, we get totally overwhelmed. We get the blank page syndrome, no words come out. And this is often because our brains are just totally overloaded. If you don't have a plan, your brain is thinking of all of the different parts of your essay all at once. It's thinking about the content, the structure, the research, how it's going to integrate evidence. It's thinking about the structure of the language at a sentence level and a grammatical level. I mean, no wonder you get overwhelmed, right? If you have a plan and an outline, your writing process is really then just a matter of connecting the dots. So it's going to make essay writing so much easier. So the first pre-writing technique you might like to try is just some simple brainstorming. I know this might seem a little bit primary school, but it's just seriously so effective. Brainstorming is when we just throw ideas around, we see what we know, what we need to know. It considers all of the different elements of the question and how these might fit together. You may consider several different approaches to the question or find yourself drawn to a particular angle, position, or argument, or you might gain a better understanding of what you don't want to do in an essay. So basically, when brainstorming, use dot points, chuck everything onto a page. I like to also call this brain vomit, and then go through it and see what's there. Another pre-writing technique you might like to consider is free writing. Free writing is a little bit different from brainstorming, but it's doing very much the same thing. Free writing is when we sit at the computer and or at a page and we just start writing anything you can think of about the topic. So it's not necessarily in dot points like what we do with brainstorming. With free writing, we are writing sentences. They don't have to be good sentences. They don't have to be perfect sentences, but it's really all about tapping into, I guess, that kind of part of your brain that's sitting in your unconscious. It's tapping into, what do you really feel about this topic? What do you already know about this topic? What do you think is important? Sometimes when you just sit and think about it, these things don't necessarily become obvious to us. When we actually start writing without thinking about formal language or structure, you can find yourself very surprised at the kinds of connections that your brain makes. I'm often really surprised at what my brain manages to come up with when I'm free writing. I think it's a super useful exercise. But you don't have to do it, but I would definitely suggest either brainstorming or free writing, whichever one works for you. So mind maps are really useful once you've done a little bit of brainstorming or free writing, because this will allow you to take the best ideas that you came up with during those two processes and see how they fit together. And this is where we can start to get a little bit of a structure happening. You'll begin to see how your ideas are connected to each other. You'll begin to see the hierarchy of ideas. So which ones are the most important, which ones are the supporting points, and how they all fit together logically. You can do this on paper, or there are programs that you can download or use online that will allow you to develop mind maps that way. But often visualizing information, again, allows our brains to work in different ways, and we can see connections that we may not have found before. Here's where we get to the most important part, developing an outline. Here you take all of the most important key points that you found from your brainstorming or your free writing or your mind map, and you start to develop those into an actual essay structure. So this means thinking about what your argument is, what your key supporting premises will be, and what the evidence and supporting points of those are going to be. I'm going to talk a lot more about that in my next blog. So jump on over there if you're already a little bit confused about what I mean. These things go very much hand in hand. It's really important to develop an outline. This is the overall kind of skeleton structure of our essay, because it will allow you to see the order that your ideas need to go in, how they're connected to each other, and importantly, how they all build together to develop an overall claim, which is really your conclusion. So your outline will show you how every point that you have is going to lead you there. So in order to do this, I use headings, dot points, I use subheadings, and use a hierarchical method of displaying this information. I'll often also include the word count of each paragraph. I'll include what its main idea is, how those supporting points would demonstrate that idea, any relevant examples or evidence that are going to support those. You'll also get an idea of if you need to switch any ideas around. And then when you come to write it, all you need to do is turn those dot points into full sentences. This is also really important because it will show you what research you need to do. Having an idea of what each paragraph is going to be about and what your key points are, you will know what your key phrases are. What are those keywords that you can chuck into Find It at Flinders or Google Scholar in order to find the most relevant research that you can? These things do go hand in hand. They go back and forth though. You might need to do a bit of research before you can develop an outline, because you may not know what your position is or what relevant key points may exist. But do ensure that you do a little bit of research if that's necessary. Come back and do some brainstorming and some outlining, then go and do more research. Seriously, it's going to make your research process so much more streamlined and effective if you know what you're looking for and why you're looking for it. This will also then make reading quicker because you'll know what you're looking for in each paper. I will have a proper research series coming soon. In the meantime, check out the Library World guides. They're super useful, and I've linked them below. So that was a really brief introduction to planning and developing an outline. As I said, this is one of the most important things that you can do. Having a really good outline is fundamental to having a logical, structured argument in your essay. In my next post, I'm talking about how we write arguments, and these things go really hand in hand. So I recommend that you check that out immediately so that you'll understand how you're going to structure your outline based on your argument and how your argument is going to help you structure your essay. They're all interwoven, so check it out and I will see you there.